Game 16 of the Premier League season is upon us. Like I said before, the games are coming fast and furious. So without further ado, let's get into the predictions and the previews, and there's only one place to start. We're going to begin with arguably the weekend's biggest game, Manchester City taking on Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea suffered a rather surprising midweek defeat to Wolves on Wednesday when the Blues lost 2-1, and in doing so lost ground on both Liverpool and Chelsea, and also lost their grip on third in the table. Whilst Manchester City are still top of the league and still unbeaten following a hard-fought 2-1 victory over Watford on Tuesday, will Chelsea make up some ground on City in this game, or will City remain top of the table and stretch their lead over Chelsea to 13 points? This game is going to be interesting to say the least. This fixture in the past has always thrown up plenty of drama, plenty of talking points, and more importantly, plenty of goals. Up until a few weeks ago, Chelsea were going about their business in a calm way, and then suddenly a loss to Tottenham and a couple of weeks later a random out of the blue loss to Wolves have damaged Chelsea a little, and right now I can't really see them pulling off a result here. Of course, if Liverpool are to win against Bournemouth in their game and go top of the table for a few hours at least, this may put a little bit of pressure or more pressure on City to get a result here. But I would still expect City to come out of this game with all 3 points. I'm going to predict City are going to win 3-1. Raheem Sterling, Riyad Mahrez and Gabriel Jesus to all score, whilst I think Olivier Giroud will score for the Blues. It's a big game at the Vitality Stadium that kicks off the Premier League weekend as Bournemouth host title-chasing Liverpool. The Cherries got back to winning ways this past week with a less than vintage performance against Huddersfield, but it was enough to get the job done. Whilst their opponents Liverpool have been less than vintage throughout most parts of this season, but they kept up their unbeaten run and their chase of Manchester City by beating Burnley 3-1 this past Wednesday. Will the Reds be able to beat Bournemouth and put pressure on Manchester City, who will not be playing till that evening? Or will Bournemouth throw a spanner in the works and end the Reds' unbeaten start? This game is always one that throws up plenty of goals and is always an interesting high-tempo game in general. We all remember the remarkable comeback by Bournemouth a couple of years ago, and more recently, last season, the Reds did do the double over the Cherries, so this game is definitely one to watch this weekend. The Reds will want to put pressure on Manchester City, whilst Bournemouth will want to end Liverpool's unbeaten run and make a clear intention on their ambition for Europa League place this season. I'm expecting a high-tempo game, could be end-to-end with how both sides have plenty of pace on the counter-attack, and of course from a Liverpool fan's perspective, Joe Gomez will be a big miss coming forward, considering the excellent season he's had so far. I still think Liverpool will be victorious here. I think they will have better game management for this fixture than they have probably in recent times. They're a much tighter unit at the back, and I think that Klopp will look to get this game done and for around the hour mark or so that he can begin to rest key players and give them a little bit more of an extra rest ahead of the huge Champions League encounter with Napoli next week. But of course, Bournemouth will have a thing or two to say about that. I think Liverpool will win 2-1. Callum Wilson will get on the score sheet for the Cherries, but Mohamed Salah and Roberto Firmino will score for Liverpool. Our next game brings us to Arsenal, who are hosting Huddersfield this weekend at the Emirates, as Unai Emery's side look to make it 21 games unbeaten in all competitions. Huddersfield had their mini run of good form halted this past week with a defeat to Brighton last weekend and then a loss to Bournemouth in midweek. Whilst coming off the back of the incredible North London derby, Arsenal were twice pegged back by Manchester United in a 2-2 draw that took place at Old Trafford. Will Arsenal make it 21 games unbeaten, or will Huddersfield pull off a bit of a surprise here? On paper, this should be a clear win for Arsenal, but nothing is ever certain in the Premier League. I said already this week, Huddersfield's hard work and determination will only get them so far. Without bits of quality, they're lacking key areas. They will probably struggle this season, and their bid for survival takes them to a team who are unbeaten in 20 games in all competitions. It doesn't look good for them at all. And to add even more of an incentive for Arsenal, a win here could take them into the top 4, especially when later on in the day Chelsea take on the top of the table Manchester City. I'm going to go for an Arsenal win. I'm going to say 3-0, and I'm going to go with Lacazette to score 2 and Granit Xhaka to also get on the score sheet. Our next game brings us to the King Power Stadium as it plays host to Leicester versus Tottenham in Saturday night's game. Leicester had James Maddison to thank this week when he scored the equaliser in their 1-1 draw with Fulham on Wednesday night, whilst Tottenham redeemed themselves for their poor display in the North London derby by defeating Southampton 3-1, which saw Mauricio Pochettino's men climb to 3rd in the table. Will Tottenham maintain their hold on the top 4 after this weekend, or will Leicester's pursuit of a high finish in the table continue? Jamie Vardy may still be a miss for Leicester this weekend, so it's really about time Kelechi Iheanacho began to really step up his game for the Foxes. But regardless of that, the Foxes do have the potential to beat Spurs here. Spurs haven't been perfect or consistent performance-wise all season, and really against Chelsea a couple of weeks ago was the only performance or time I've seen Tottenham play extremely well. I can see this game ending in a draw, but I can also see Tottenham winning it due to the usual time of the season where Harry Kane discovers his scoring touch on a more consistent basis. And I'm relying on that prediction in my score prediction when I say Tottenham to win 2-1 with Kane scoring both, whilst James Maddison, I think, will score for Leicester to continue his good run of form and mini goal scoring run he's on right now. Back off of a 2-2 draw with Arsenal, Manchester United play host to Fulham this weekend in our next game we're featuring. A Fulham side that are bottom of the table but have a bit of new life in them with their new manager Claudio Ranieri. As mentioned, United drew 2-2 with Arsenal midweek after twice coming from behind, whilst Fulham are coming into this game off the back of a draw themselves when they faced Ranieri's former club in Leicester and came away with a point in a 1-1 draw. Fulham are battling for survival, United are battling to save whatever's left of their poor season so far. Which side is going to come out on top here? What to say about Man United that hasn't been said already this season? It's weird that for about 10 minutes on Wednesday night they actually played some decent football against Arsenal, but then it all fell away. You'd think United should win this game, but don't count out Fulham, especially under Ranieri. I think this game will be pretty much decided on team selection, particularly from a United standpoint. Eric Bailly played very well against Arsenal as he won everything in the air, and his battle against Alexander Mitrovic will be vital, if he is to start, that is. Whilst at the other end, Anthony Martial may be a bit of a concern, fitness and injury wise, but Marcus Rashford should be okay. But will he be pulled out to the left so Romelu Lukaku can return to the starting lineup if Martial isn't ready for the game, of course? Regardless, I think United will probably steal this one at the death, either 1-0 or 2-1. I'm going to go with a 2-1 United win, Rashford and Lukaku to get on the score sheet. 19th host 10th in our next game as Burnley take on Brighton at Turf Moor. Burnley are growing increasingly more concerned with their league standing, and a loss to Liverpool midweek only added to their woes, whilst Brighton are on the up and looking up, quietly going about their business and doing very well, and it's even more evident by the club's 3-1 victory against Crystal Palace this week, despite being down to 10 men. Will Burnley deliver Brighton a reality check, or will the Seagulls only add to Burnley's woes? Burnley showed a bit more fight against Liverpool than in recent weeks, and there were a few positives that they can take from that game as well, and their performance that maybe they could build upon, especially for this game. Brighton, however, will be looking to add to their great season. As I stated before, I think this side have gone a little bit under the radar as far as their achievements this season are concerned. But that may suit this side, and Chris Hughton, if they keep going about their business like this, they may continue to surprise people. The concerns of Brighton obviously this week are going to be Shane Duffy's suspension following his red card and Glenn Murray being doubtful for the game after picking up his injury in the same game. But despite that, the losses for Brighton, they are so capable of winning this game. But I actually think Brighton will pick up something. Burnley, will pick up something from this game. I'm going to predict a 1-1 draw. Now, it seems a little bit out there, I know. But something just tells me that this game won't be easy for Brighton. And that whilst the Seagulls win looks on the cards here, and I wouldn't be surprised if it obviously happens, I can honestly see the Burnley players being lifted by not seeing the names of like Glenn Murray or Shane Duffy on the team sheet of Brighton. But I do think Florin Andoon will continue his good form and get on the score sheet as well for Brighton. A new chapter begins at the Cardiff City Stadium as Ralph Hasenhüttl takes charge of his first Southampton game when his side take on Cardiff. Following the dismissal of Mark Hughes at the beginning of the week, Hasenhüttl was appointed manager hours before the Saints took on Tottenham in a game in which Tottenham were victorious 3-1, even though Southampton hit the woodwork on 3 occasions. As for Cardiff, they were defeated by West Ham on Tuesday night and now sit in 16th, 2 points outside the drop zone. Will things get off to the perfect start for Hasenhüttl, or will Cardiff aid their survival bid? A slightly unknown entity whenever a new manager enters a new club, and that's what makes this fixture and prediction so interesting. Southampton haven't played badly over the past couple of games either. They've been a tad unfortunate in front of goal in recent games, but there's enough there for him to build something on. And it begins in Wales. Cardiff have proven already this season that they're no pushovers, so this game could go any way. I'm going to go safe, and I'm going to say a 2-2 draw here. The next game sees a big mid-table to lower league table clash between West Ham and Palace at the London Stadium. West Ham put together back-to-back wins this week, beating Newcastle last weekend and then beating Cardiff 3-1 on Tuesday night, whilst Palace have put in polar opposite performances over this past week. They beat Burnley 2-0 last weekend and then lost 3-1 to Brighton. Which Palace side will turn up this week? And will the Hammers make it their 3rd win on the bounce? As stated this week, I believe Palace are safe, but will probably do their usual yo-yo act of being safe for 1 week, then they are the next week, then when they're in danger of the drop zone. As for West Ham, it's a good test for Lucas Perez, who will be probably taking over the place of Marko Arnautovic as he spends the next month or so on the sidelines. But they've got a real good chance here to make it 3 wins out of 3 and start to push up the table. As far as a prediction goes, I can honestly see the Hammers winning this one by just being that little bit more clinical in front of goal. And I think it will finish 2-1 West Ham, Perez and Anderson to score for the Hammers, whilst maybe Wilfried Zaha getting back on amongst the goals for Palace. The next game I'm going to features 14th against 12th as Newcastle face Wolves at St James's Park on Sunday afternoon. Newcastle came away with a hard-earned point on Wednesday night when they drew 1-1 with Everton, whilst Wolves pulled off a bit of a shock when they defeated Chelsea by 2-1. Will the Magpies defeat the Wolves, or will Wolves make it back-to-back wins? Rafa Benitez's side should be safe. They have the right manager for the job, who can get the best out of his players, but as far as this game goes, if Newcastle can begin to take their chances, like I've said previously, they can challenge anyone, and I guess the same can be said for Wolves. They play some nice football at times, Wolves, but being clinical in front of goal has been a bit of a problem for them this season. For this game, I'm going to again stick my neck on the line and predict a 1-1 draw. I think both sides will have plenty of chances, but ultimately not being clinical enough in front of goal will come back to hurt them both. And finally, our last game sees us go to Goodison Park as Everton look to get back to winning ways against the Watford side, who are also looking to get back to winning ways too. Everton have had a bad week, first losing the Merseyside derby in injury time and then drawing 1-1 with Newcastle midweek, whilst Watford are on a run of 5 games without a win, with their latest game finishing in defeat to Manchester City when Leroy Sané and Riyad Mahrez both scored in the defeat of the Hornets on Tuesday night. Which side will get back to winning ways here? Everton had plenty of chances against Newcastle but failed to take them. As for Watford, they battled well against Manchester City and unnerved them a lot, but it wasn't enough to pull off a result there. It's the hard-working, bursting with energy side of Watford against the ball-playing Everton. I think that a 1-1 draw is on the cards here. I believe that whilst this game could go either way, I'm going to go down the middle for a Watford and Everton to share the points here. I'm going to predict Troy Deeney and Richarlison to get on the score sheet for their respective clubs. And that's your roundup of all of this weekend's previews for Game 16 of the Premier League season. Guys, let me know in the comments section below who you're supporting this weekend. Maybe you're going to a game yourself. Who are you looking forward to seeing? That kind of thing. Maybe you have predictions of your own, whether it be team selections, whether it be goal scorers, or whether it be the scorelines themselves. I'd love to read your thoughts and opinions down below. Otherwise, guys, hit the like button on the way out if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're new, or subscribe if you want to see more content like this. That'd be greatly appreciated. Otherwise, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Really do appreciate it. I've been Fletch. This has been another Premier League prediction show, and I will see you all again soon and speak with you all again soon in another video.